We're talking about Atlantis Rising today with a very special guest, Atlantean High Priestess Priscilla Campos.
All of us Aquas are ready for it.
Let's
go.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro. Hello and welcome to Leading Out Loud, LOL, the show that takes all things spiritual and then makes a joke out of it. I'm psychic astrologer Christopher Witecki, the sensei to Sirius Joy.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor with scottcruzpm.com. How you doing, Christopher, today?
How am I doing? I'm feeling Atlantis Rising.
Okay.
Somewhere in here. It's about to come up any second now, to be honest with you. I'm feeling the energy, man. It's intense when we're talking about indeed. I do think Atlantis has a lot to do with it. But first, before we get into all these things, Atlantis Rising, with our special guest, what's going on with the collective read and the zodiac weather is going to be our first thing. But we want to do a History's Mysteries, Scott. This is where you and I are going to talk about a topic of today's show. And you're going to get in your psychic awareness, and I'm going to throw in what I may know about it. The first is Bimini Road. I don't know if you heard this. It's a submerged rock formation off the coast of North Bimini, which is the south of Florida, if I'm not mistaken. And it was speculative that this was part of the Atlantis, and that it was actually a natural rock formation, is the other thought. So some people say it's Atlantis Road. Some people say it's a rock formation, and we're just using our imagination. What does your intuition see?
You know, as you're saying this, I'm tapping in, and I just saw a big true word flash in my mind. So there's truth to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
My father, who has always raised me to be that he was ex-Atlantean, has told me that Bimini was the road. That's why he moved to Florida. Interesting. Now, was Pluto's descriptions of Atlantis history or myth? In his dialogues, Timulus, I think it's called, and Critias, I'm not sure, but speak Greek. Pluto described Atlantis as powerful and advanced civilizations located beyond the Pillars of Hercules or the Straits of Gibraltar, the 8 miles between Spain and Morocco. Do you feel that this is where Atlantis was, psychically or not?
My God, just saying slightly. So there could be probably like a 90 to 100 mile radius where it's off on that. So I don't feel specifically no. I'm hearing, but I feel like the radius could be like within 100 mile radius, like around the vicinity of such, but not specifically. I heard no.
Okay, exactly. I was raised to believe from my father, telling the tales, that actually that part is a trading port and was one of the colonies of Atlantis. So it feels like Atlantis, but it's not the homeland of Atlantis. Allegedly, Atlantis was off the coast of Florida, whereas Cuba is the only land left, from what I understood. The way I was raised as a kid, Dad said Cuba's the last piece of it. Still which is interesting.
Well, that makes sense.
Cuba,
yeah,
right?
Makes sense of my read then. Yeah, so that's good.
We can get there. Yeah. So that said, let's do the collective read, man. How are you feeling? How's the energy for you?
Oh my gosh. I'm just surprisingly just quiet lately. You know, for me personally, because I'm doing a major move on Saturday. So I've been my Virgo rising is very much shining and coming to the table. Gotta get this done, gotta do this on this day, this. So I've been very, very overly structured, but I feel like that's just allowed me to have less stress and more peace, because I feel like everything's in order. Check the box, we're all good. So excited. But collectively now, I feel like everyone is in a gasping mode, like, and really kind of holding on and seeing where things are going. And I've been feeling this too, because, you know, I've been selling furniture because we're buying a whole new furniture for a new place in Nevada. And like, it's just been crickets. And I've been hearing a lot from a lot of other people, like just been like, no, like, is anyone alive? Is everyone here? Is everyone flatlined? So there's been a lot of that kind of like pause energy I feel in the collective, because there's a lot of trepidation. And so I think it's a great topic with, you know, Atlantis Rising, because I think a lot of that past, you know, karma is resurfacing in a lot of us, of things crumbling, things falling. We're seeing that within our political movements. So there's some trepidation a lot about that as well. And so I think a lot of people are still in that inhale mode and need to find the exhale to understand, okay, where do we really navigate from here? You know, where do we really want to be shining here? And, you know, today I'm talking about, you know, ending a spiritual recession, because those are in fear about having a physical economic recession. But a lot of this is because we are not we're not finding our callings. We're not following our callings in life. We're not following our true purpose, because if we did, we all would be stabilized individually, right? And thus kind of solidifying the collective. So I think now's a great time, without fear of things collapsing, saying, well, things do collapse. Where would I rebuild? Let's start it now before it collapses, so we can start rebuilding now. So that's kind of what I feel like the collective is, need to be heard, but also where they're at now currently with the the current, so to speak, so.
All right. Well, I agree, but I have a different take on the whys. I'll pitch it to you in a second.
Sure.
Let me get the basics first. I mean, first of all, we're in a big traffic storm, energetically, psychically. We have today Mercury entering into Neptune at 0 degrees, conjuncting Neptune entering the Aries. So now our minds are shifting into sort of a fast pace. We've just sort of been drugged for the last so many days with Mercury and Pisces since it's retrograde. So that's kind of part of the issue. We're kind of cloudy. But also at the same time, we have been warring through Aries, and Aries has been about installing a new ego, and I've called it the we-go, basically, this ego that assumes survival is going to happen. So we're kind of taking out the survival, fight or flight, and putting in the assumption that you'll survive, and then what? And I think that has basically been, if nothing else, it's the removal of the I'm a victim, I'm wounded, that sort of that old mentality in place of a new ego. So to your point, Scott, yeah, I think people are directionless, and I think people are steering wheelless. Like not quite sure how to steer the car if the sky isn't falling. Of course, the sky appears to be falling again. At least the stock market's falling, not the sky. And that is that's our modern version of sky is falling. The stock market's falling, right? The sun will go into Taurus on Saturday, so I think we're going to find things cool down a bit. Thank God for us Tauruses being so pleasure indulgent, where y'all wouldn't get a break once a year. So everyone's going to pull into some apple pies and some yummy food probably here real soon in a second now. But I feel that's what's happened, and this is part of it too. I feel when I was looking at the planets really deeply, and I go deep analysis on Serious Joy, I feel that we removed a timeline. So I knew that we were graduating our timelines in Pisces. I knew that was clear. It was so obvious since 2012, right? All of us. And I assumed that we were going to then move on to a fresh one. But what I'm picking up psychically is, no, we're actually picking up the Atlantean line. I was told by my guys, it was 3 lines actually, that you're either picking up the Atlantis line that was dropped, or you're picking up a line from another planet, a starseed direction. So your starseed, you came here, and then Atlantis fell, and you're like, oh shit, I came here to do this. And I'm like, sorry, it's gonna be 26,000 years, maybe later. So there's those timelines. And then I feel that there's people that'll be leaving Earth who just didn't want to play ball at all, and they've got some other planet for those people. So, so I don't know. What do you feel about that? Do you feel an ancient timeline's been picked up?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think there's a lot of other things that are kind of re-illuminating in our subconscious because of the past as well. There's a lot of, we have such a collective, energy that we're all coming from different periods and different expressions, right? And different, I would say past incarnations are illuminating, but for sure. And I think that, even in this incarnation that we're in now, because a lot of people get so wrapped up in past incarnations, there's a lot of even this current incarnation trauma that's being, activated during this time, so I definitely, you can definitely see that, and the history is repeating itself even from the past 10 100 years or so absolutely. But I think that we need to understand what that is representing for us and how we can fully navigate this, and I think, like I said before, I see a lot of people not navigating things that they want to be navigating their own lives, right? They're not really doing the things they want to be doing. They're not reaching the goals they want to be reaching because of always being trepidatious about their surroundings. So I think if we spread that message and kind of, that was spread like wildfire, so we can actually collectively rise up. But it's a challenge, it's definitely a challenge. So I did predict back in 2014, 2013, actually, that there was going to be a massive collapse, with the economy, with the financial systems, celebrity culture. And so I just feel like, this is a spiritual reset. So my mission during this time is, even though our past incarnations are resurfacing, that we can kind of spin that now and reshift things now before, so it doesn't have to completely crumble. But this does feel like a reformatting,
And we're talking about this with Priscilla. I don't know if there's a crash. That's what we're saying. Are you really seeing a crash, or are you seeing the Atlantis wound that has to be addressed? That's what I'm saying. I feel like we've just put on the table a new karmic objective, and that karmic objective is we got to get over this Atlantis wound. And we'll talk about more with Priscilla on here. But that Atlantis wound is, forget Atlantis as the buzzword. This wound that every time something happens, like the stock market, it's all going to be hellfire and damnation. We're all going to be making our own food and scrambling because the ATMs are down. Like every time there's a president or something, we go there, right? And so that has to be addressed regardless whether you want to call it Atlantis or you want to call it the land of Mu and Lemuria, or or you want to call it just knowledge of our future inevitable fate, right?
Yeah, I don't feel that, and that's the thing I want to emphasize too. I don't feel we're going to crash, right?
Me
And I feel like we're all trepidatious now, right? After Easter, energy is going to pick up. After Easter, I feel psychically too. I feel like the month of May is going to be really kind of booming, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not getting credit to any politician. We're on a spiritual current here, so I feel like May will be kind of booming for a lot of people too. A lot of great movement in May. So I've been saying that for 2 years, for 2025.
Yes, totally.
So.
Agreed. The plan is I'll tell you all, folks. We have Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, right? So you need to understand that. When she's in Scorpio, it is hell. So the last time she was here was during the presidential campaign of Hillary Clinton and Trump. You guys felt like this horrible darkness, which some people projected onto Hillary, like she's dark, she's evil. And some people projected that same darkness onto Trump. He's dark, he's evil. It's Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Okay, like y'all, that's what it feels like. And no matter who's in president, you're gonna feel this darkness every time she comes up. She's bringing up the darkest part of the bottom of the cesspool. Okay, she's bringing up our deepest fears in Scorpio. We're talking about hitting rock bottom, or hitting the bone right there with Scorpio, right? So we're hitting the bone of our fears and stuff. And what are we doing? We're taking money out of the stock market. I wish there was some sort of astrology that could just tell people, don't withdraw your money when Black Moon Lilith is in Scorpio. Because honestly, the planets showed nothing but boom, boom, boom. As we move into this month, it's Unite the Light in May. We chose it for the reason. It's going to freaking boom. It's more manifestation energy than I've ever seen in my life. The similar to this was World War II, when we were making airplanes and jet planes, and we invented the jet, we invented radar, we invented television, and we invented satellites, and we invented rockets, and we invented the nuclear bomb. That's where we are right now. Hyper creative, hyper potential manifestation. And on the day of Unite the Light, which I'm definitely squatting and touting, the Sun conjuncts Uranus at 27 degrees. That is like a rocket ship. If you have something already in play and ready to go, which is what we're doing Unite the Light, then you're going to rocket ship forward. So nothing in the astrology shows an economy collapse. It's the opposite. The boom.
Yep. Yeah, I never felt that psychically for the past 2 years when I've been seeing predictions and people's trajectories. I'm like, oh, there's a big massive change for you, big boom in May. So I'm like, and then I start seeing that collectively. So yeah, I don't feel that. I think that what this time is doing is great, right? Like we said, kind of like resolving that trauma, but it's like people are being more. This is the beautiful thing I see. People being more clear. I've been finding a lot more people being more clear in direction, clear in what's really going on. I see a lot of that real awakening in people happening right now. So, and people taking more control and more, of their own personal lives, but what they're doing in the collective too. So I actually been seeing the people reacting quite well, and summoning up and opening their eyes more. Yeah,
but they're slowing down their spending. I'm getting that from everywhere. Like Palm Springs, which is a tourist area. I talk to people all the time, and my old man walks. Like everything's down. Everyone's saying that tourism's down, people are down, ticket sales are down, these are down, everything's down. People are not spending their money. So, you guys, where you put your dollars, where you put your power. So you are actually you are a problem when you stop going out to eat. You are causing the problem. I just want to put it out there. You are causing the problem when you are afraid of the future, a future you don't see any evidence of, but you fear. That is the problem right there, and we have to be real careful because we might be getting led like a bull into a slaughterhouse. Led into a depression, not in a recession, not really actually happening. Because if the collective is that afraid, they stop spending, then boom, you are the cause at that point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we're gaslit by the media. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, and we're still buying it. Oh, that's another thing. Why are we buying it? We'll talk about that maybe in Gemini, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because if we crash it, then of course when it rises up, it's like, oh, look how big it was in history. I always thought this is kind of, market manipulation. Crash it hard, then bring it back up. So they say, look how much we've grown it. Look what we did, So it's like we did that. We listened, we followed, and that's what we created. So yeah, I love that point tremendously. That don't follow that lead. Still continue to live your life. We got to keep moving.
Still spend your money. Go out and spend. Spend. If you want to stop this, then spend. You're going to be fine. You're always fine. We've always been fine. We got credit if we don't have that. We got credit card behind credit card if you haven't maxed them up. Spend. I mean, I'm not saying go out and be crazy and buy yourself a pink horse right now. Maybe a unicorn.
Live. What you want to say is still keep living. Keep living,
Do your standard. I would say if nothing else, you'll do us a favor, the entire country and the world, if you just stay at the level you're at before and not dip and go down, because that gives everyone the proof they're looking for. And there's no proof. Nothing has happened. They're projecting the recession may happen in the future. Guess what? I'm projecting that, the Palladians may land on the White House lawn and kidnap Trump in the future. Should I stop spending money now?
Right.
Because I'm afraid of that. It's goofy.
Yeah, Chris, they've been projecting recession for 8 years.
I mean, it's a class thing. The thing is, why do we keep falling for it? I mean, as we come into Taurus, I mean, this is what the real question is. We survived COVID. We survived all that stuff. We survived. Well, Trump came back. It was the worst. If he comes back to be the worst, he's here. We're surviving. It seems like we tend to survive, guys. Even it was wiped out with, Atlantis. We'll talk about Priscilla today. It was wiped out. We came back like roaches. We came back. So it's like,
We did.
I think it's time we start to take control back and be like, okay, that's it. Enough with your,
Totally.
your fear games with us, y'all. We like to do something interesting in this lifetime, not just always be reacting to the next fear bomb, right?
Yeah, it's true. I totally agree with that. We got to keep living because they've been projecting, recession. I'm like, what I think prevented us from going to recession actually is because people have been finding more work independently. They've been working remotely online. They've been finding their own practices. If they didn't have the accessibility to work online or remotely, we probably would have crashed and gone into a recession. But we're not. We have so much availability, available to us now of how we can do our own work and find our own clients, go independent. So a lot more people are finding more of that. That's keeping our economy from going to recession. So we have to remember that.
You're right, and it's technology. So back here, let's go back to World War II. World War II, Sun and Uranus. I mean, Uranus and Taurus at this level. Uranus goes through Taurus. All these inventions. It's the worst debt we've ever had. There's all this propaganda about how horrible the United States was in debt and how the nations of Europe are in debt. Everyone's in debt. By the way, in debt to Rockefeller. We're not in debt to anyone else but Rockefeller.
There you go. That's a buzzword.
Fuck you, Rockefeller. Hashtag fuck you, Rockefeller. And so,
so rock you, fella.
Yeah, fuck you, fella. So that said, that's a good one. But anyways, that said, we came back and what happened? The 50s, it boomed. It was all not what they said. All of it was not what they said because all that technology filtered down into consumerism products like TV. Everyone wanted TV. Everyone wanted a dishwasher. Everyone got a GI loan. They all built houses. So the truth is we can have the same boom as the 50s if we don't buy into the bullshit right now. Okay. But if you buy into that we're going down, well, then that Jupiter and Gemini is going to go, and so it is. It is down upon your wishes. So, and then we go into Jupiter and Cancer. So when Jupiter goes into Cancer, okay, which is about to do, you're either going to feel good or you're going to feel bad. And that's going to be based on really how you set your mind right now, folks, and the mindset you set. Because what you think and what you believe is what comes, period. That's what reality is, right?
Reality, yeah, that's true. But yeah, we have to set the tone. But it's so interesting. Every time I see the collective, we're doing the same thing at the same time. It's not like, slow. That's like also just everything pauses. Like, where's that coming from? Who's inspiring all that for people to say, news, media, and again, if they're not creating a solution, they're just like fear. We need to be objective enough to understand, like, this is purposely done and deliberately done to manipulate and to, infiltrate and to inspire and to coerce people to behave a certain way. So the question is why?
Well, yeah, we'll go do something creative. Go. Quit watching that repetitive stuff of telling the same stories. If you can. I personally was unplugged. People were telling me, in meetings like, Chris, the economy's crashing. I'm like, it is really. I'm doing fine. We have subscribers. Nothing's wrong. I keep looking outside. There's no nuclear bomb. And in my life, there's no nuclear bomb. I didn't see what nuclear bomb. I don't see it. And oh my God, they're still reacting to the news. They're still watching the news. Like I was like, well, after all that with COVID and everything, apparently so. I think to some degree we have to get our own creative drive.
But I want to be clear too here when you say that, because a lot of people, there's still people who are struggling out there. So we're not trying to dismantle or dismiss that. There are people who are struggling, have a difficult time. But to me, that's a realization for people to make, like, where could they actually fit in to do for themselves to create a different aspect of wealth and value for themselves, right? Maybe that working that 9-to-5 job isn't doing it for you. Maybe it's time to evolve from that. So yeah, there are a lot of people that are struggling, a lot of younger people that are struggling, but it's forcing them to think differently than what we used to be doing. So and that's why I've been trying to help a lot of people, and I have helped a lot of people to get outside of that kind of old paradigm, to start a newer paradigm, to get their businesses off the ground, and they're doing fine now. They're in control of their financial destiny. We're relying too much on the government and the system to be a part of our financial future instead of us being part of our financial future. That's the issue.
Yeah, and that's a whole other argument with the millennials. Yep. It's like, I'm struggling. You're not struggling. Live with your parents. And you're mad because you can't buy a house at 25. Nobody fucking can buy a house at 25, dude. Welcome to the United States. Welcome to the world, okay? No one can. Like, what's your perception? The problem is the perception. Like, we should be farther. No, you shouldn't. Who the hell was that far at age 25? My grandmother, barely had a pot to piss in at 25, and you're saying you're supposed to have a house already and a car that drives itself? Fuck you, man. Like, what the hell? Like, our perception is way off. But here's the thing. We're about to go through another technology boom again. I mean, that same boom, Uranus and Gemini is the proliferation of the technology. So AI, all these things, they're about to proliferate, all right? And they are making our lives easier, y'all. Easier. The reason why you are getting these side jobs is because you have you have the instant cash app, and you have this, and you have the Uber that will deliver your drugs for you in your drug business, and all this other stuff. Like these other things are helping people proliferate their stuff, and more of it's coming down the pipeline. So if you prop yourself up, I see nothing but gains ahead right now. I see nothing but gains.
Seriously, and if you want to, I always say this is easy for me to get rid of the mundane, so I can be more creative, more inspired, and not have to like take so much time out of my day to do the mundane. Let technology work for us. You know what I'm saying? Let technology that aspect. If you're spiritually inclined and you're spiritually in control and spiritually in power, yes, we can tell as robots what to do. It's all this fear about how technology is bad. It's good to understand that, but we never talk about the positive aspects of the progression of technology. We always hear about they're going to take over, the alien's going to take over, all these negative aspects. There's always going to be the yin yang, but we should focus on and emphasize and take advantage of the positive of it too, because I feel like it's going to be wonderful for light workers, huge for light workers. Even for me as a musician, because I create everything myself, the technology allows me to create a whole orchestral piece at my fingertips with my own writing, and so I have this ability to work out of the box now, which I couldn't before, so there's so many good things that we can do as creative and get our message out there too. And so we need to start using it to conquer and to benefit the collective.
And I'm just going to focus on the solution. And the solution is today in your day. If you're afraid about technology taking over and the thing goes, and the Facebook thing goes, do you read all these terms and conditions? 20 pages of them that you never read. And you go, yes, that was your option, man. You just gave it over to the robots right there. Right there, you gave it to the robots. Right there, so you gave it to the robots. So pay attention to where you give your power away in every moment today, just today, and see where you are tomorrow. I'd say that's how we wrap that one up in a good way.
Yep.
Right? So that's it.
There's a lot going on, right? So I think you want to run the Unite the Light promo, right? Because you have the Unite the Light coming next month, right?
Which, yes, totally. Let's go ahead and run it. We'll come back and we'll write it when I get back, and then I'll hand to you. How's that?
The Unite the Light Lightworker Summit is reborn in 2025, May 17th to the 19th, reincarnating in Nashville, Tennessee, the capital of country music life. If you live to make the world a better place, we invite you to gather and co-create for 2 days. Day 1, meet curated, heartfelt influencers sharing strategies and innovation. Day 2 calls for conscious conversations. Lightworker power panelists discuss industry urgent topics. And for the first time, you requested, we co-created a third day, a 36-hour, ultra-private, closed-door Whisper Summit. We call it Afterglow, where 2 or more gather, featuring high-wattage leaders of light who share unpublished career advice and trade secrets. It all takes place in the luxurious Gaylord Opryland Hotel, where you may enjoy a full spa, poolside drinks, and tasty dining. And don't miss our Honky Tonk Sumper and Step Networking event happening Saturday night. Wear cowboy attire, feast, and learn astro secrets about you and cosmic allies. Consider this an invitation. Let us celebrate our ascension at the brightest gathering of love in the world. Ticket sales are open now at unitethelight.love. That's unitethelight.love.
Though in plural there in the end, I love it. I just want to put out there's a final beat that I think people are afraid to travel to some degree. And if you're afraid to travel, then come remotely. We have remote tickets to this. You can view and stream the entire experience. And they're available right now today on unitethelight.love. You can buy your streaming ticket. And we're encouraging parties and whatnot. We're actually bringing people into a Zoom room. We're creating a huge Zoom community that's watching together with chat, live commentaries, and also in all the breaks, we have interviews on the side. It's going to be exciting. So it's a nonstop kind of party for 2 days, y'all. And you don't have to miss it. I think you want to be a part of it. We have this cool panel coming up called Will Earth Survive? Will Earth Make It, basically, so on this topic. And we have three people who are going to be debating this. That would be Archangel Metatron, the Palladians, and Mary Magdalene. So that's the first, I think, Scott, to have a debate with actual entities and not people. Except you.
God, how's that going to work?
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, tell me. You want to commentate online? You could. That'd be cool.
What the channeler is having a debate with who they're channeling? No, yes, no, yeah. You can imagine that. That'd be a great show. I'd love to see that.
It's like a delay effect. Like, no, I told, shut up. We'll see. It's going to chaos. It'd be great if you were online for that, like online with our community. I'm going to put you on the spot, but like it'd be great if you were in that moment. Just to have you as a commentator, you in there speaking, that'd be great.
I will try. If my move goes well and everything goes well, then yes. But
totally.
I'm trying.
No pressure.
It's up to me. I know, no pressure, my bestie, but that's all good. But
I meant from home, from the comfort of a lawn chair or something.
100%. Yeah.
For the record, I wasn't saying there. I was saying just get online and be like, this is bullshit. Whatever. Be cool.
No, totally. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I won't have anyone to watch the dogs. That's the whole problem when I move and I'm scrambling, and so we'll talk about that after the show. But yeah, I would also love to do that. A peek in for sure. But we have Priscilla here, right? We're talking about Atlantis Rising, right?
Yes. But first, you want to dive into what's going on in your show? on your channel right now?
Oh
Or
yeah,
how
yeah.
can
I forgot we're doing double tag team. Sorry, I forgot about
yeah.
that. Went off script again. But yeah, well, tonight's show was my live show, ending a spiritual recession because everyone thinks we're in a monetary recession. So we also need to end our spiritual recessions, and we're going to kind of talk how to rise above and move forward and really kind of tap into our spiritual essence tonight. I'm a live show Thursday night, which is every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and I also do live readings too. So you get a question in with me, book a question in, and do live readings. Have a good fun time at my live show tonight. A great community of people. So tune in and you'll get my perspective on how we can navigate. So I think right now, like, we are rising. I hate to sound cliche again, but we are rising spiritually during this wonderful time. So
I agree.
But it's great.
And we're also falling. This is the last time we get Scott and I both on the air on Thursdays. LOL is moving to Wednesday next week, y'all. Wednesdays. Next Wednesday, the 23rd, Wednesday evening is when we're going to go live. It's going to be 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Is that correct? Yeah. So we did 5. No, 5. It's 5. Actually, reinforce it with this. We went back and forth. I think it's actually 5 Pacific.
Oh, is it 5 Pacific now? Okay. All right.
Verify that for us, Adam. We'll do it at the end of the show. But nonetheless, yeah, it'll be Scott. You'll have Scott and we'll be owning the Thursdays to himself. Must see Scott TV. And on Wednesdays it's going to be 6 p.m. Okay, good. Scott,
he's giving me shit because he wanted to move LOL to Thursday nights, and my views are like, no. So I had to save you.
Well, we're just like trying to figure out where's the audience going to have a good time. And I was still brainwashed from NBC, I think, is what it was. So that's how powerful television programming is, right?
I know television, but
so yeah. So it's going to be okay. So it is next Wednesday, the 23rd. We'll be live Wednesday evening, which means you wake up to find our show. It's already there recorded for you. So for those who forget it, you won't forget it because you'll realize you missed the boat. But we think Wednesday night's going to be fun. It's hump night. We're going to have a lot of crude jokes and more obscenity because we are later at night and the kids are not in bed. They're streaming from their outside from the park, right? So it's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Here on all the channels you see us now. All right.
I think it's gonna be cool as a nightly show. A little more. We'll give more of a nightly vibe to it. So I think we'll have some more fun. Be more unfiltered.
Look, Chris in the morning, not funny. It's not nothing funny, but nothing funny about it. All right, so let's move on to our topic. Atlantis Rising is our topic, and we have a very special guest today, Atlantis High Priestess Priscilla Campos. She founded the Temples of Atlantis Mystery School and the Galactic Temples of Light membership, where she empowers seekers to reconnect with their starseed origins, navigate their cosmic initiations, and reclaim their lost Atlantean healing techniques. Her signature Cosmic Conscious Reiki certification program, Starseed Healing Circles, and international retreats all help clients release ancestral and karmic wounds, embracing their divine gifts and awaken a sense of purpose rooted both within the earth and within the stars. So with that said, please let's welcome Priscilla Campos to the game today. Hello, Priscilla. She's right here on our seams, right? There she is. Hi.
Welcome.
Blessings, everybody. Nice to be here. Thank you.
It's good to have you. So tell us about you and also what the viewers can learn more about Atlantis. So fill us in.
I'm someone that always loved Greece and Egypt growing up. I didn't understand until I was around 37 that it's actually because I'm very Atlantean. And being an Atlantean means that I love sharing knowledge, that I have a great belief in unity, in the golden ray, in things that are going to continue to get better. And I love sharing this with others because what you're referring to before, that only comes from the news. I haven't watched the news in like 10 or 15 years. So I have no idea. Maybe they're talking. I'm like, oh, is that what they're selling these days? There's a federal election in Canada at the end of the month. I'm not tuned into it at all. I don't care because whatever puppet they put in there is not representative of the people. It's representative of that small group, which are the negative Atlanteans, which have been dominating our planet for a very long time now. So when you're talking about Hillary Clinton, when you're talking about all these people, those are negative Atlanteans. And
thank you.
It's about time that we put them into their place because they've had their shot we can go anywhere. Atlantis sinking 3,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago is a large window, but these people have been ruling this realm for a very long time. And they manipulate us based on fear. They feed off of our fear. So the more we actually go within, come to our true selves, to our ancient selves, which are extremely knowledgeable, then we blind out all of that. And guess what? We just rise. So in this way, Atlantis has never disappeared, both in its negative aspects and its positive aspects. It's actually just coded into all these different cultures around the world, especially around the Atlantic Ocean. And once you tap into that, once you understand that it's not lost, that it's not a city, okay, it's a whole civilization, that it can't be lost, it can be hidden. They can try to unveil it as much as they want, but the truth always comes out. And I think that's the most exciting part about this next 30-year period to 100-year period. The
Mhm.
type of truths that will be revealed is the things that we've known all along, that our gut, that our instinct, that our Holy Spirit has known, but we've been taught to ignore it. And I'm
Mm.
I'm really, really excited because there's just more and more happening with Atlantis all the time. And it's not something to fear. It's something that we should be very excited about, very open to, and
Mhm.
understand you're not here to make the same mistake that you made before in the fall of Atlantis. You've grown from it, you've learned from it, you've spent thousands of lifetimes since then growing, and you're ready. It's a great time. So
Yeah.
anyone that's really, really afraid, um, understand that fear is projected on you on purpose to keep you small. But the more you really come into your ancient self, the more things fly open for you, and the more secure and loved that you'll feel.
I just want
Yeah.
to say with that too. But, sorry, Christopher. I just wanted to what you're saying
Oh,
about the negative Atlanteans. Like
yes,
their
exactly. There's a lot
intention
there.
isn't really necessary to destroy. It's just to control, right? Because they destroy, they also get part of the destruction too. So is that what their main goal is? Just to manipulate and just have that control?
Negative Atlanteans, in my opinion, are very integrated with negative beings outside of our realm. And so it's
Hmm.
total manipulation and control and enslavement of our mind, enslavement of our soul, enslavement of our bodies. And
Hmm.
because they've done this and they don't lose their memory, right? They have their full memory intact from,
Mm,
during the fall of Atlantis. They know how to manipulate us. So no, they don't want to destroy us. They do want to they really want to bring down our numbers so that they can
Right.
control. It's way easier to control 250 million people than it is 8 billion people. So there's
Right.
definitely depopulation agendas all the time.
Hmm.
But they need us. They don't want to work,
Right.
right?
right.
They want us to do all the hard things so they
Right.
can tax us to death and
Hmm.
live off of us. If there's nobody to tax, what are they going to do?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Priscilla, tell us a little bit about the beginning. There's a lot in your first statement to unpack, and one of them is, the fear in our hearts. So I want to talk about how to address that and whether or not it's really there or not, or if we're told it's there, and so we see it there as a memory. But in the beginning, Atlantis was some sort of a pure race, was it not? Like,
Mm.
there's a purity there, and when you say they, we're speaking to an alien race specifically, or another dimensional race specifically, that sort of came to some Atlanteans and got them drunk on the idea of greed and power, and so we end up having our officials corrupted by greed and power, which was not in the society at all. So imagine if you hadn't really, there was no gambling, so you never felt gambler's debt. There was no drugs, you never felt drug addiction. Like the society was kind of pure, and then these darker forces came in out of nowhere, and they were not
Mhm.
prepared. That's my understanding. What do you know? What can you tell us?
Feel like what I've taught many times before is Atlantis is a galactic frequency. So it's not indigenous to Earth, it's indigenous to the universe. And what it
Ah.
does, it travels through the galaxy when different realms are ready for higher ascension, for greater love, for greater unity. The
Mm,
Atlantean frequency comes in. And so it is very pure because it's backed by the golden ray. What do we know about the golden ray? It's
okay.
connected to Christ consciousness. So it's unity, it's unconditional love, it's acceptance, it's compassion, it's all these
Mm.
wonderful things that so many people are suffering outside of. And so
Mm,
when Atlantis first comes to Earth, the council that knows that they're bringing Atlantis to Earth, we know it's going to be hard because we can
Mm.
see how open these humans are, but how vulnerable they are because there's such incredible key codes within them, and so it makes it like this openness for other beings to come in and take from us. And so when we're planning to create Atlantis on Earth, we're like, okay, we have to build it in such a strong, strong way that it will be infallible. It doesn't happen like that. But that's what they're trying to do. And so it's almost like there's this magnetic and accelerated pull for us to advance really quickly, but we didn't quite do all the work that was needed to
mm,
really
Mm.
ground it. We didn't learn as much as we could have from the Lemurians before. We're like, okay, yeah, we got it.
Right.
Let's go. We should have sat with it longer and
mm,
honored Earth and honored the human experience longer before we invited in all the frequencies that came in.
Mm.
And then, as
Mm.
you said, we got lost, and some of them sold their soul. And as we know in celebrity culture, that's what you got to do to make it. You got to sell your soul. And the Atlanteans became very big masters of selling their soul, selling
mm,
out,
mm.
and it corrupted the whole civilization. And it took something that was incredibly beautiful, far beyond what people write about. I truly
Yeah.
believe Golden Atlantis is much more than
Yeah.
anyone can imagine.
Yeah.
And it's a disservice to think of it as such a small finite city. It's
Mm,
really an expansive civilization. But there's so much we need to connect to. And this is what I say, we get really stuck in the trauma of it. Pack it up. You don't have to sit in the trauma. What were you before this trauma? What are you through the trauma, and how are you rising? So, again, it's a really good time. I'd say I've been on this path since 2017. The amount of people and the amount of myself that has awoken into these Atlantean codes. It's not a fluke. It's something that's very planned, and so we
Right.
shouldn't have fear. You are coming online to who you've always been, and the
right.
beautiful part about it is that you are incredibly powerful. Each
Hmm.
of us so, so,
Hmm.
so powerful, just not everyone's ready to claim it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right now it starts with claiming it over the media and your stock market. Like, start there.
Yes.
But I agree. I like what you're saying too. Really the invitation to go within, because if you, one thing, I grew up with a father who said he was the dark one on Atlantis. He was telling me he was part of the dark side. Like, that was age 6. I was being raised with these fables, and I'm like, well, fuck, what am I? Where are we? You know. But I now realize it's like I'm obviously was opposing him then. I'm opposing him now. There's this force of good versus evil that's in all of our movies. There's this force of like we could destroy the earth in any moment, and to me that's all replay of what had happened, not what's going to happen. So if you
Right.
go within your heart and you ask your heart right now, hey, is this what I fucking signed up for in heaven? I signed up for this to go down on to go into horrible destruction? No. I think everyone is going to get a strong no. This is not what my heart has signed up for. And that's where the peace begins, right? It's within, what it is within, is what you're saying, Priscilla. Go within
Mhm.
and find and
Absolutely.
rise up yourself. Yeah.
Right, because there's so much distractions, there's so much lies and disillusionments all the time. The
Yeah.
only thing you have that is true is your connection to source. And if you haven't
Mhm.
figured out how to connect with your Holy Spirit or your higher self, don't worry, it's not out of your field. It literally lives within every one of your cells. So
Mm.
you'll get it, but you have to devote time to it. And that will include shutting off the TV, not getting distracted by games on your phone, or going in low conversations, or obsessing about celebrity culture when they don't even have a clue you exist. Like, there's
Right.
just so much of it that's meant to pull us away from self, and it's always been like that. When we look at the glory days and the fall of Rome, that's built off of what the Atlanteans were, because at the end, guess what they're doing? They're having circuses and giving them bread all the time to distract them from what's actually happening. Um,
It's funny you said the word distraction. I was just about to say people need so much distraction this day and age. Distraction on the news. I always say we're finger fucking the screen all the time. It's so buried in our phones, and so buried in this ideology, so buried in so many different aspects. We're not actually allowing ourselves to hear ourselves. And people don't realize it's deliberate distraction to take our power away, for us to not hear our discernment, to hear our intuition. And so we have to understand that as a collective, that we have to pull away all these distractions so we can actually hear ourselves. And like we were saying before about shutting the news down, I think it's great. This is how we rise above, is because we start letting ourselves to hear our own discernment and start seeing through that kind of agenda. So I love that you bring this up and you're connecting that, because that is basically what everyone's starting to, I would say, recognize now. So I think it's wonderful that you are connecting those dots too.
Thank you. The lead-in for that would also be, what does school actually teach us? Right? It's an
Right.
institution. We need to think about all these ways that we're initiated into these institutions and how they immediately start blocking us, quieting down our thinking, our imagination. We are
Right.
not talk about chakras. We don't talk about ancient civilizations, all history. I don't even teach my kids history. Okay, my kids are homeschooled for this exact reason.
Hmm.
I don't even teach about history because it ain't real. Right? I'll
That's
teach
true.
you.
The history we hear. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Right,
Yeah.
there's just so much of it, and people that are in the system don't understand how much it's affecting them until you have a spiritual awakening, you start
Right.
questioning it,
Hmm.
and you're like, "None of this is real. None of what I grew up learning is actual factual, nor will it help me in my spiritual progression on earth," which is the whole point, right? We are here to have the human experience as connected to our Holy Spirit in alignment with source, to be these incredible beings, but instead
Right.
we're injected, we're muzzled, we're
Yep.
enslaved. We have we're taught to like want this. That won't give us anything.
Right.
Want what's inside, and watch how your life transforms. When I heard my guide say to me in early 2017, Priscilla, you need to start studying about Atlantis. Why? But I
Mm.
took that why and I investigated it. And the more that I did, the more I felt like I was coming home, and the less the
I
questions
love
came,
that.
the more I had to seek outside of myself and and see other readers and other healers and all these things. And I love those people. I am one of those people. I love it. But the more I empowered myself to do the work and to follow the knowledge, did my whole life change incredibly so. And this is
So that's interesting. So this was something like you're as a little girl that you felt this connection. It just I was actually was inspired to you relatively not too long ago, 2017. So this is all really kind of spiritually, I would say, divine. I would say encouraged. So that to me is more fascinating because just came out of the blue, so to speak. You were led to that. So I think that's
Uranus.
awesome.
That's what I point out. Uranus in Taurus, so it's like coming into the new era, and then Chiron in Aries, healing the ego. That combination, I think, freed a lot of Atlantean memories. And then Neptune and Pisces, like tuning in. So the planets were very kind of like, okay, let's come out of our shell. And it sounds like you did, Priscilla.
Well, when I was 8, I knew I was from Greece and Egypt. I told my parents this, that I'm a reincarnated being from Greece and from Egypt. They're like, nope, because I was in the institution of Catholic Church, right?
Right.
So no, that's impossible. That's not true. And I knew it was true. And I had nothing. There was no internet, in the 80s. I had nothing to back me up. And so when I started my spiritual path and I started really reading about reincarnation, I felt very validated. And then when the Atlantean section came in, of course, that's why I love it.
Makes
That's why I
sense.
love Greece so much. When I go to Greece, it's my most favorite home. Why? Because it's literally structured the way Atlantis was. If anyone with my kind of soul, if you love those white columns of those temples and you're just like, oh, that's my piece, those are Atlantean. If you love pyramids and you're fascinated, that is Atlantean. It's just, that's what I'm saying. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just encoded. And that's why they're so clever. The ones that, like the high priestess and priests of the light, that knew that Atlantis was going to go into this very big turmoil in terms of its island sinking, they planned accordingly. They weren't surprised. They were like, we knew this 30,000 years ahead of time. We better start teaching all these people going into these colonies. We better make sure the priestesses know exactly who they are. We have to have this blueprint around. And we're just rediscovering it. And it's right on time. We're not late. Whatever, all that big mystery right now, the big talk about the Sphinx and
I know.
It's like, of course it's down there. Didn't you guys know that? Of course. It's
right.
I was like, you just heard that about that? When people tell about, you just heard about that? Like,
right.
And actually, so you mentioned the colonies. People don't realize how big Atlantis was. It was actually the Europe. It was the England or the United States of that time, in the sense that all these different places now that have ancient mysteries themselves were in fact colonies of Atlantis at the time. For instance, Peru, right? Egypt too.
Yeah, like you have to think about probably 80% of the world was Atlantean during the height of, I don't want to say Atlantean power, but of Atlantean light. Now, the other part of that would be Lemuria, but Atlantis kept expanding even well into Asia. So if we know that Atlantis is in the center of the Atlantic Ocean, everything around that, which includes North and South America, Northern Africa, and western coast of Europe, those are those immediate colonies. And then they continue and continue and continue. And it happens over such a long period of time that the people of Egypt, or maybe the people of Avalon, forget where they actually came from. It's just like a very short version of, I don't think Americans would see themselves as coming from Great Britain, but that's where you come from.
Right.
It's been what, 200-300 years. You're like, we're by ourselves. That's what happened with the colonies. They're like, no, we're not Atlantean. Of course you're Atlantean. Where do you think this nose comes from? Where do you think pyramids from? Like, this is what it is.
Yes, pyramids, exactly.
Yeah. It's funny because I've always been fascinated by pyramids. I had a past life regression of Egypt, and I've always been so fascinated with like the Greek culture, in this lifetime. And, I just didn't know why. And then, of course, I met Christopher. Chris was like, oh, we shared a past life in Atlantis. And so, and doing the reader. So my question to you is, how can people identify if they have Atlantean connections, and what are certain things in their own lives that they see signs of that can, identify that they actually have those connections?
Thank you. Let me see if I can spit off a quick list. Number one, you love ancient civilizations. Like, you have loved them since you were a kid. Anything on Rome, Egypt, Greece, you're glued to. You're going to read it. You're going to watch it. You love pyramids. You sometimes have a fear of the Atlantic Ocean. It can give you unease to fly over the Atlantic Ocean because your home is sunk at the bottom.
Interesting.
I have always Atlantic. I like Pacific better.
You have a fear of water. Water is your peace. Man, do you love looking at it? But fuck no, are you going to go in it? Right? Going very deep, because that's the Atlantean part. Like, we were surrounded by it, but eventually it ate us, right?
Yeah.
So we're just A little bit
Yeah.
hesitant. You love crystals, as I clearly do. You're drawn to the big, to the pageantry. You love big things. You love when something's so grandiose and so opulent because it speaks to the richness of your soul. Um,
Mm,
Atlanteans love knowledge. When you come into something that interests you, you invest all of your energy, time, and money into it, and you dissect it and you become an expert in it in a very short and rapid time. And you also love galactic star nations. So you might have grown up loving like a Star Wars, a Star Trek universe,
Yes.
mm,
because you knew there was a truth to it. And it doesn't frighten you to think about life outside of this realm. In fact, you embrace it because you also know you're from there. Because as a
right.
true Atlantean soul, you have been traveling the galaxy in all these different forms, bringing light, bringing love to millions, if not billions of people. So Atlantis and
Mm,
Atlantean themselves, why we make fun of ourselves is we are insatiable, but man, do we live a good life because we're not afraid of anything. We're very big. It's that go big or go home. That's an Atlantean thing, right? And the
love
original
it.
east west, east versus west kind of conflict that originally goes back to Atlantis, Lemuria, but it's more as a joke. It's because the Lemurians are so grounded in such nature people, and the Atlanteans like, I love this nature, but let me build the biggest temple and monument I can upon it to honor it. And it's like this conflict, but in a way, it's a beautiful kind of conflict. But then over time, it gets really segmented. But
Sure.
Atlanteans, I can identify them instantly as they're talking. I'm like, that's an Atlantean soul.
Mm,
Usually an American. It seems like America just like squatted on the Atlantean principles and made it into a constitution. I feel like that's what happened. A lot of utopia. I realized when I was a kid, I was dreaming about making utopia happen. I want a utopia. I want to be part of utopia. And then once I read about Atlantis, I'm like, oh, I'm actually thinking about what it was, and I'm projecting that into the future of what I want. And I realized a lot of my wishing was actually what we had, already. Can you expand a little bit on the Lemurian, aka Mu? Right, the word was Mu.
mm,
Mu versus Atlantis, and what had happened. Mu was actually squatted on the Earth first, if I'm not mistaken, and then Atlantis came along and said, "We're better than you. Control you answer to us," right? Something around the line. And so
Um,
I was there in Atlantis, probably making that vote. But can you tell us the difference in how they became rivals?
I feel like Lemuria and Atlantis are very similar in frequency. So Lemuria is the frequency of love, and it's the
Mm,
frequency of understanding the realm that you're upon. So Lemuria, like Atlantis, to me, also is a galactic frequency that goes from different realm to different realm. But when it lands, it's about what's the heartbeat of the goddess or god that you're a part of. In this case, it's Gaia, right? What are
mm.
her elemental beings like? What are these elements that I'm working with? What are her
mm,
frequencies like? How can I be one with that? It's a beautiful thing. I don't think any Atlantean really comes, at least to this realm, without first being a Lemurian. So then again, Lemuria is everything around the Pacific. So if you love Hawaii, Fiji, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, you love like the West Coast of North America and South America, that feels like your home. You're Lemurian. And what that means is that your heart is so beautiful and so open, but you have a hard time integrating into the material. So you might have a hard time manifesting because everything is very energetic for you. But your struggle will be, can I be of the earth and still kind of contain my magic, be of the magic?
mm.
The conflict that many writers, especially Lemurian writers, they always poo-poo on Atlantis.
You're right.
I would be like, stand up for yourself. Atlantis can't influence the whole world unless you allow it. It's just like we're talking about TV and media. It
Right.
only influences you if you open up to it and then succumb to it, right? That's your
Right.
choice if you're going to fall to the propaganda. Atlanteans would have always been to the Lemurians. We love what you do. If you want to try it this way, come over here. We have this whole galactic community. We have these portals. We have all this stuff if you want to do it. But if you just want to be with Earth, no problem. I don't know where that conflict comes in, except that it's probably seeded by negative Atlanteans who aren't of Earth. They're very
Yeah.
reptilian, darker energy that's about enslavement. And of course, they're going to overtake the Lemurians when they want because the Lemurians are so loving. Yeah,
Right.
come have dinner with us. Oh, now you're going to get slaughtered. It's the same way the indigenous people of North America allowed in the Europeans, right?
Mm,
What happened?
Exactly.
analogy.
I think what it is personally when when you are a person who's done nothing but hurt people, and you come across pure love, you immediately feel like an asshole. I think ultimately they just want to snuff out that because when you're in the eyes of like a sweet angel and you haven't been, you're immediately put in front. What you have to face is who you have been as a person, because you're basically feeling God energy come to you, and you're realizing you are not godlike. You are anything. If you are the anti-God in that moment. So I feel like knowing my father, knowing other they just can't stand to be constantly seeing their darkness in the mirror of light. Is what I've noticed, and so they want to snuff it out. That's my best explanation. They just want it off the planet so they don't have to face their truth, kind of thing.
Right.
But, and yeah, that Lemurian. From what I remember, like you went to vacation in Lemuria. I mean, in Atlantis, like we flocked, the crazy city bus or whatever, and went out and hung out with the people that enjoyed life for a while, much like what Hawaii is now, right? I mean, was Hawaii there because it's kind of young, but it feels like it has the vibe. And when I went to Hawaii, I'm like, this must be what Lemuria was, because all I want to do is eat, sleep, and have sex.
Hawaii is the epicenter of Lemuria. So
Mm-hmm.
all of us that are drawn there, when I go, same, it's not my home, but dang, do I love it, because it's my peace, it's my spa, it's my holiday, it's my time to come back to myself and back to Gaia. That's all. So there's some people that go to Hawaii and they know it's their home. Yeah, you're Lemurian, and you need to figure out a way to get closer to the Pacific Ocean so you can radiate in those codes once again. My goal is to move closer to the Atlantic Ocean, maybe Florida eventually, maybe Greece, to get in the Mediterranean Sea.
Interesting.
Because I lived in Florida. I found myself like wanting to go more,
Lemuria.
Pacific.
Lemuria.
Yeah, maybe the Lemurian. Actually, I'm starting to realize. It sounds like me running toward the mountains, and so interesting. It's interesting to know, because I feel like a resonation to both. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, is that possible to kind of resonate with both energies? Is that just because of a knowing or a connection? Because I always feel like I'm resonating with both, actually.
Yes.
To me, that would mean that you have a very healed soul. The people that don't resonate with stuff is because they got some trauma from there, either from the perspective of them being attacked or them doing the attacking, whatever way it is. But if you're saying you feel resonance with both, it's perfect. And if we think about, I've been shown this many times by my guides, when we talk about Central America is going to be the marriage of Atlantis and Lemuria, because it's the thinnest part of the world that has both of the oceans on either side, right? So Costa Rica in particular, how many people are drawn to Costa Rica? They're like perfect blend and marriage of Lemurian and Atlantean, and you can definitely be both. I just know I'm very Atlantean, but I love my Lemurian friends, and my husband is Lemurian, so I obviously have that attraction.
Interesting. Yeah.
Question I asked you, like, go ahead.
No, I was saying, I think we cross married, Scott. I think a lot of us married Moo. Like we went to Moo and found our brides or found our partners, and we,
probably
it was like it was the in-laws. Is what it was. I mean, it was part of it.
But what would you say, like, kind of is the current mission for Atlanteans? I would say, in this current age, because I find myself, especially resonating with like wanting to expose the bullshit, right? Expose the shadow government, all that stuff. I've been on such a crusade for that, and breaking people's minds free of the chains and the negative filters. So would that be similar to an Atlantean type of mission in this this age? What would be kind of more of a refined mission for Atlanteans?
I think that number one, we're tired of where the fall has taken us. I think we've been on this ride for a very, very long time. We've given the dark side enough space to really explore it in its entirety. And we're like, that's enough. So I think a general mission is to really remember the golden era, which not many people write about. And it's very, like I said, it's very small pocket they give it. To me, it's much longer than 1,500 years. So come back to that golden era and your power. And then enough with the negativity. Let us get back to what that was, which I said is unity, is prosperity for all. It's like an education that has to do with your soul, not with what's projected upon you. It's like incredible freedom, and then also realizing that we have the ability to connect to the galactic. So it's like coming back to Atlantis is extremely expansive. It's in no way limiting, and it's why it's rising. It's why we're like, every week I get different people from around the world tell me the exact same story, and I'm like, that's not a dream. That's not, you're not making it up. You are very Atlantean. You've gone through these traumas. What are you going to do about it? We don't sit in the trauma, right? We've been in it. We understand it. How are we going to repair it? And so that biggest part again is do the work of your Holy Spirit. You're not there. You're not right now in this avatar. We're not in Atlantis during the fall, right? Parts of our soul are, but that's not where we are. So can we see how things have progressed? Do we like it? Probably not. Let's fix it. And I think that's where we're coming to.
What would you say, Priscilla, as we start to wrap up the show, is that we've come to do just that? I mean, what I picked up on psychically, astrologically is, and recently, I don't know if you saw the open of the show, but my guys have said, no, the new timelines that just loaded up are actually the Atlantean timelines that we left off at, that we have that we have to continue where we left off. And from what I understand with God universe is you have to finish your plate. You can't just do half a meal. It has to be reloaded into the matrix and it has to be replayed out. So it feels like we are about to replay. When I talk about the Pleiadians talking about a frequency war and other cultures talking about how the Earth is about to go through a conflict change, isn't this the moment where we're choosing once again whether or not we'll let these dark lords like Bill Gates and Hillary Clinton take over like they did last time? And aren't we having the option to choose opt out this time? Or do you say this is just us playing what's the word? A sequence to practice, or what do you call it? A simulation. Is it the real deal to fix the karma, or are we in a simulation?
No, I feel like this is our golden opportunity, and I don't think we should have any fear about failing. I think it's so beautiful. The amount of people I've seen that have woken up since 2020, since all of that crap, it's extraordinary, and how fast people are accelerating on their journey. Like I did what people are doing in 3 months. It took me 3 years to do prior to 2013, 2016. So I have huge hope, and the only thing that's going to keep you down is if you tune in into the bullshit that's on the outside of it, right? And then the other thing I'll say, because there are legit people suffering greatly on this planet, what we have to allow is to understand that their souls have chosen that path as a way to further awaken us. So yes, we can have sorrow, and we absolutely should, but don't be like, oh my God, that's such a waste. I saw somebody talking about World War II or the Holocaust over here. Those things are meant to happen as a way to project us on our path of truth. But you have to get through all the ugly, and that's where we are. But it's so glorious. I have no fears about having grandchildren on this planet 30 years from now. It's going to be fantastic. So quit. And this is in the spiritual community too. There's a lot of people that love to feed on the negative and to go all the way with it. And you have to separate yourself from those kind of teachers, because maybe it's true for them, but it doesn't have to be true for you.
Right.
I agree.
It's going to be objective and aware. I think because a lot of people are buried in that too. And I think I try to make people be objective about what's going on, but like we always have to navigate away or find a way to navigate above it. Because a lot of people we see even just psychologically cycling, just in a cycle, like we got to get out of this loop, And so I think that's a major thing that I for one, I know Christopher does too, is you definitely try to get people out of those loops. So
totally. I mean, how many times do we have to smell the shit? Like shit, Holocaust was shit. I know. I've smelled shit before. I don't need to smell shit again. Quit putting your shit in my face. I know. I don't want to even think about it. Like, no, you need to remember. You need to remember this shit. It's like,
don't spray that Febreze. That ain't gonna work.
Exactly. It's like, how many times do you want to smell it? I'm tired. I agree. I think in a way, it's actually a convoluted way of keeping you there. The point is that you pull yourself out, right? Like, if you go dark and you pull yourself out of that mood, you did it. That's it. That's the lesson as far as God's concerned. You chose which one was better. Next, I think, do you feel like it's a strategy, Priscilla? I'm wondering what the strategy is. So right now we have the culture right now. They're all falling for the latest fall of Atlantis, the stock market, So what would you say, in this fall of Atlantis stock market, like this moment, like how does an individual choose the light in your heart?
You have to do it every day. And you have to do it when you're met with darkness, when you're met with conflict. Are you going, like, I always approach things now as my 3D Priscilla self, who I need, right? She's very important. And my more 5D Atlantean self, which is the greater teacher. When I span out, okay, if I'm asking for this experience, there has to be something I'm supposed to learn from it. And while it might include some pain, ultimately it's going to bring me exactly what my soul desires. So whatever is happening out there, whether it's a new pandemic they want to make, whatever, they're going to crash the stock market, whatever they're going to do, are you going to let it actually affect you in your life and the way that you live, breathe, and think? Because that's what they want, right?
Yeah.
Or are you going to be empowered with yourself and find ways that you're talking about in the beginning, find ways to make money that's off the grid, that's, tapping into this global community. Whoever is in suffering, it's not the whole world. There's people out there that are ready to spend to be part of your teachings, that want to grow with you. And you just have to expand outside of a little bubble. The more I started going online and really not being afraid to show up as my authentic self, the more abundance found me, versus when I was like caught in my community and like, okay, these people are not very Atlantean. They're not super interested in what I'm teaching. but there has to be somewhere where there will be. So that's my example. But everybody has a special gift, some kind of knowledge that you're supposed to teach and share with others that will provide for you in return. But if you're stuck in the cycle of what's the stock market doing? I have to get this type of salary from this job. If it's not resonating with your soul, you need to go through a shift. And we all do that. I think most of us do that on our spiritual path. We end up like doing like a complete 180.
Yep.
And we find that joy and freedom, and then nothing can really hamper us, even in periods of being low and being challenged. Maybe it's financially or emotionally or relationships. You understand the bigger path, and then you don't have fear, and it doesn't add and it doesn't create. Instead, you can just mostly flow through it.
Right. Yep.
Flow through it. I agreed.
And that's the rising, baby. That's how things rise. That's how things ascend. You know, and I think that's so very important for people to understand. It's actually is that simple, but it requires, like you said, every day, the consistency every day to be in that conscious awareness of that, but also dictating, I'm not listening to that. I'm not engaging with that. I'm not being fed by this. We have to be very conscious of that. And I think there's a lot of empathetic people, Lemurians, who feel like, well, if I focus on myself, I'm too selfish, so it's not going to help anybody. It's like, no, but you living in your light, you're actually helping everybody to live in their light, and that raises the collective consciousness. And so you got to focus on your light, like you're saying. I agree with that, and that helps everyone else we lead by example. Maybe people don't realize that when you're doing well, it makes other people want to do well. It shows people that no, things aren't crashing, they're doing well. I could do well. It spreads like wildfire. So I like to highlight what you said there, because I want people to understand, yes, by focusing on your soul purpose is helping the collective.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Amen.
Shifts the vibration more than you realize.
Right.
Yes.
We're a whole mechanism. So like we're part of that species. So we infiltrate, that the healing energy, it will spread in the collective species is how I see it. Like we're a whole organism. So we can't crumble. We have to nurture and heal. Yeah, I agree.
I agree 100%. Everything you said. I also you're right. The moos are right. We need to enjoy Earth. But then again, we got to get to work. We got shit to do. It's like, it's both. Both sides need to be working together, and they're both always bitching at each other. It's like, you guys, it's a hybrid of each of us. It's because we come from the same source. You decide to go that way, we decide to go that way. We need both perspectives, really, at the end of the day. Priscilla, how can people find out more about you? Because you just opened up a huge can of Atlantean worms, and now you're leaving. What's the first step to getting to know someone's Atlantean knowledge?
For those on Instagram, I share a lot on there. I share bookloads of knowledge, either on star nations, on angels, or on Atlantis itself. So when people are like, I want to find out more about Atlantis, literally read my page. You will have more than enough to fuel you. After that, templesofatlantis.ca is where my mystery school resides in. And everything I do comes from the foundation of Atlantis. So if you do not love Atlantis, don't come my way, because you're not going to feel soul satisfied. Okay. If there's some part of you that's very intrigued by anything that I mentioned, then those are your little codes lighting up and like, show me more, let me know more. And it's always going to come back to you. The way that I teach mostly is through guided meditation and lecture, but I give you space to really explore yourself, because that's what's important. I'm here as a teacher. I'm not here as the be all and end all, but man, can I help you expand what's within and help you tap into it, so that you can then do whatever your biggest mission is. My mission is to bring back the golden light of golden Atlantis and stop with all this self-harm and overload.
Love it.
Grace, well, we're with you. We'd like to see you again.
Yes.
There'll be an event worthwhile coming any moment here, because it seems like we are Atlantis is awakening now in every moment, and so is Lemuria too. A lot of angry Lemurians. You can spot them. You can spot them in the crowd. Yeah. I love them, though, sweethearts. I give them hugs. And we'll go to your website and we'll have you back. Actually, stay backstage. We'll say hi after the show, because I want to talk about what we can do together next, because I think what you have is gold. People want to know more about this more than ever. And even people who are doubters are saying, I had a dream about I was on an island that sank. That's right. Welcome, brother. He said, welcome to this party. I even think, Gilligan's Island, a 3-hour tour. I think there's something there about Atlantis, too, that we're like, that we always get pulled into with that song. So thanks, Priscilla. We appreciate you.
Thank you. And Temples of Atlantis, someone is asking, it's Temples of Atlantis on Instagram. Thank you so much.
Ooh, Temples of Atlantis. Ooh, we'll be going there. All right. So, Scott, we want to just wrap up and say, what's going on with your neck of the woods, and what are you doing tonight?
So once more, my live show. It's still again. In case you all forgot from before, remind you. Ending a spiritual recession. So kind of this is a wonderful topic this morning to kind of lead into the topic that I'm doing tonight, Thursday night, every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And get a live reading with me tonight as well. And we want to talk about, how we can actually really tap into what our spiritual essence really is and the soul expression. So we're really going to emphasize that tonight. So join me.
I love that image of the person just like howling over that. It's like me without makeup every morning. So it was wonderful.
I went to ChatGPT. It's like create an image of souls resurrecting from robots, and so that was ChatGPT.
Jesus, I'm giving ChatGPT Atlantean technology. I'll tell you right now. I mean, we can talk about that.
It's helped so much with productivity of my work and for backgrounds and stuff like that. So it's definitely helped a lot. So
totally. But so a tint of kill yourself in there. Just a tint to kill yourself. Just a tint. Just a slight little bit out there. And speaking of revival, I mean, we just want to say one more time, we'd love to see you at Night to Light, and we'd love to see you online. We have online tickets available now. It's going to be a fun party like it is now. We're going to have guests there. In fact, I want to ask Priscilla if she wants to come on and be on part of the show. And we're going to be all hanging out for 2 days talking about what's possible. If you want to be re-inspired, if you want to find that place in your heart where anything can happen. I was just yesterday interviewing one of the people who's coming. Her name is Millie. She's the last presenter on Saturday. What she's going to present is going to blow you away, okay, like as far as what she's done. And it's an answer to lightworkers and their biggest problem, which is how do I market myself? So many lightworkers are like, I don't know how to market myself. I don't like being online. I like this, not this. She's got a solution, like an out-of-the-box solution that you cannot argue with. So that's the kind of things we're bringing Night to Light. You can come physically, you can come digitally. It doesn't matter. Just come on out and be a part of this light for 2 days, May 17th, 18th. UniteTheLight.love. That's UniteTheLight.love. All right. Well, Scott, I guess we'll see you in 1 week. I mean, you'll be broadcasting from a mountain. That's unusual. Scott running to the mountains right when the thing's about to fall.
I'm coming to the mountains now. I'm right by the mountain, but yeah, I actually will be in the rolling hills of mountains of Sparks. So yeah, I'll be broadcasting from my new spot.
When Atlantis fell, you climbed a mountain then too. You always
Did I do the same thing? You always tell me that. I always run to the mountains. You say I always do that to you. So
he always does. Which, by the way, is a hell of a climb to come visit you. I mean, that's what you're thinking. It's a pain in the ass. The donkey, everything. To climb up that mountain to see you.
Well, now you have the Palm Springs Airport here, just a couple hours away. You can just fly on in.
I'm going to chopper in for sure. Good. Yeah, I want to have it. I want to see the mountain. You have the mountain fortress. I'll have the cave layer. It's going to work out awesome.
There you go. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm really excited about the change. So
I am too. And let's change ahead. We'll have to let's go do a show there or something there too. That'd be fun.
You have to seriously. I don't know if anyone has been to Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is just such a wonderful. It's amazing healing space. It's just it's gorgeous. So you would love it. You would totally get so many downloads there. Yeah, I'm curious. I want to check the ley lines at some point, or at least the astrocartography. Find out like why am I being drawn there. I'd be curious to know. Maybe you can help me with that after show.
Yes, I'll do it right. Let's pull it up after this. All right, friends. Well, let's do it. We're ready. No, I'm serious. I'm going to pull it up right now. I'll find out myself, like, why is he going? And no, I'm happy. We'll have 2 places between the 2 of us. But we'll be back. Remember, next Wednesday night, y'all. Wednesday night, same bat channel, but a way different bat time. Wednesday night, Hump Day Wednesday. That's our theme, Hump Day Wednesday. And we're going to get over the hump together. We're going to thump, and hump. And if you don't remember, you'll see us Thursday morning when you're looking for us anyways, and we'll be on time for once. And that's going to be next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Until then, y'all, don't put up with the shift show like the stock market falling. Lead out loud.
Lead out loud. Bye, guys.
Wow, that was cool.
She's amazing. She brought like this mystical energy down to earth and grounded it. I love that about her energy. So.
She's really a priest. She's got priestess energy. And follow her books, y'all. Read her stuff because she comes from the ancient galactic Atlantis, and she's like an ambassador that follows that civilization everywhere.
Yeah,
it's cool. Yeah, it's a hell of a resume. Same job though for 10,000 years. Kept it look good to an employer.